Have you ever been curious about how many cards have actually been printed in the Pokemon hobby? Well, we are going to start that journey today. This is something that I've wanted to dig my heels in for quite some time, and depending on how much time it's going to take, we are going to do the whole darn thing. But we are going to start by talking about how many of the top cards are actually out there, how many have been pulled, how many have been graded. We're going to give some estimates on how many we think are actually out there to give us an idea of how many packs exist for each individual set. My name is Steve. This is Steel City Stacks. Thank you guys for tuning into this video. To be honest with you guys, I am very excited to do this. I did a similar type of video in the past when, I kind of knew what was going on, like with this respect, but now that I've, just been making a lot more content, doing a lot more research, I feel a lot more confident presenting this stuff to you guys. And I want to give a humongous disclaimer. I don't want to hear anybody saying like, well, you're talking about Paldea Evolved and that came out in 2023 and like here we are now. Like, I get it. There's multiple factors here at play. Like, absolutely. We are going to be looking at some of the PSA data across the SV era and the Mega Evolution era and seeing what those gem rates look like. Now, again, another disclaimer. Not every single person grades their cards. And even if you grade your card, there's a chance you don't grade with PSA. There's SGC, there's Beckett, there's CGC, there's Tag. There's a bunch of different places that you can go and get your card graded. So even if you decide to go and do that, there's multiple ways of doing it. PSA is the standard, whether you like them or not. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding them. It is still really important to use the best type of method, and that's what we do here on this channel. So even if you went and graded your card, right? Because you might just stick them in a binder like I do, or leave them behind you in some display or something like that, like I know a lot of people do. You might leave it sealed as well. And then there's the unsold product, which I'm sure there's probably not a lot of, but like who knows how many scalpers have and everything like that. Honestly, this whole thing is a gigantic onion, and there's plenty of topics or plenty of people here on YouTube that have talked about this topic at length that can give you a good idea. If you're interested, look up pack destruction Pokemon cards on YouTube. I'm sure you're going to find some really good videos. So probably a good starting point, but we want to at least see what the heck is going on with all of these sets, like the top cards in pretty much every known set, and kind of give ourselves a baseline of what is actually out there, because I think that part is pretty important to understand this topic. So, like I said, we're going to start with SV base. We're going to blow through everything pretty quickly, and I'm going to show you guys just exactly what is going on. But I want you guys to keep in mind, not everything comes out at the same time. Things come out in a bull run, things come out in a bear run, whatever it is. There's certain sets that are popular. There's certain popular Pokemon, different pull rates across the different sets here. I get it. There's a lot of different factors here. Not everything's going to be one-to-one. Please think of this as an extra piece of information. You guys can actually see how much product is on the market or how much of a specific card from a specific set is actually out there over the length of time. That is going to be your incredibly important piece of information. How long are we talking here? What is the time length for all of these cards to go and get graded so you guys can see how popular it is and how many are out there? So let's get to it. Okay, so all of this information is coming from the website called GemRate. They do a great job really kind of quantifying how many cards have been graded from each card set, from each type of publication, PSA, SGC, Beckett, Tag, all of them, right? So give them a look, pretty good stuff. What we want to look at and what is very specific here are the differences between what is going to be your SIRs, your special illustration rares, your illustration rares, your full arts, and then either your gold cards, mega hyper rare cards, whatever they're going to be. You'll notice, we're going to use the Gardevoir as an example. This 38.9%, that is your gem percentage. That is the total number of 10s out of the amount that were graded. In this case, there was 6,487 PSA 10s out of 16,666. A lot of S's there. For 38.9%. Now, why is it yellow? Typically, anything below 50% is considered a not so great candidate to go and grade. And you guys are going to see this. Anything that I have listed as orange, like here with the Drowsy, really bad. 15% is atrocious. That's a terrible gem rate, horrible. You really want to do something that's in between, I'd say 55% and above. You're doing that, you're doing pretty well. You're increasing your chances, but just know the lower the gem rate, the higher the price for that perfect copy of the card. So kind of cut and dry. So Gardevoir right now, 38.9%. Your Miriam SIR is 5,746 PSA 10s at 34.8%. Drowsy illustration rare, for as popular as this was in 2025, only 1,651 PSA 10s for 15.3%. That's very low. Your Ralts coming in with only 752, but only 7,055 graded for 10.7%. That's actually one of the lowest that we're going to look at today. And then your Miraidon SIR jumps back up to a 42.4%, 3,702 10s out of 8,000 some. But you can see here 16,000 and 666 for the Gardevoir. That's quite a bit, but we're talking more than 2 years ago that this came out. Moving on to Paldea Evolved, you guys kind of know the drill. If you don't happen to know, cards from Paldea Evolved, excuse me, do not grade very well. The Magikarp is a great example of this. 3,875 10s out of 23,316 copies. That's a 16.6 gem rate. That is why the PSA 10 of this card is so expensive. There really aren't that many compared to other ones. I mean, quite literally almost half as the number of Gardevoir SIRs from SV base. Your Iono, 6,754. That's a 45.7%. The Tyranitar, 1,683. That's 18.5%. Your Raichu, 1,563 10s, 19.6%. And then your Skeledirge EX SIR, 3,201 10s out of 5,782. That's for 55.4%. So a very good candidate, honestly. If you want a sneaky card to go and buy right now that you think can grade, this would be awesome to do with the Paldea Evolved starters and their forms. Every single starter in this, the Sprigatito, your Fuecoco, and your Quaxley, they all form the kind of like little trios. They tell a story, whatever you want to say, and they all grade pretty decently. But the illustration rares do not. That is important here for Paldea Evolved. You can see the SIR Iono, 45.7%. Moving on to Obsidian Flames, your Charizard EX, 12,437 10s out of 52,239 copies graded. 23.8% for the Obsidian Flames SIR Charizard. Shouldn't come as a surprise. It's a Charizard card. It's going to get graded. The hyper rare Charizard here in the middle, 8,775 10s. That's a 27.5% at 31,000 plus copies graded. Pretty insane. Your Ninetales comes in at 23%. That's an illustration rare. And then your full art comes in at 36.7% with 5,790 copies and a 10. Still a healthy amount, almost as much, right? Almost as much as the Gardevoir SIR from SV base. And this is just a common full art that's like, I think like 20 some dollars right now. So kind of interesting. 151, the big dog. Part of the reason the cards are so expensive are because they're very hard to grade. And this should tell you everything that you need to know about how much 151 has been pulled. 26,746 PSA 10s of a Charizard SIR. 92,654 have been graded. That's only 28.9%, but 92,000 plus have been graded just with PSA. That should tell you how many Charizards do you think there are? Over a million? Like realistically, do you guys think there's over a million Charizard cards out there? I don't know. You tell me. But price probably warrants it because it's a Charizard and it's 151. Blastoise, 17,000 plus. That's put you at 31.1%. 56 plus thousand have been graded. Your Venusaur, 15,284 10s right now. 30.4%. 50 plus thousand. Zapdos, SIR, 13,079 10s out of 43,632. 30%. Even your illustration rares, Charmander, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, 25%, 27.9%, 29.8% respectively there. Still a lot graded. Total for Charmander, 34,000 have been graded, 31,500 for Squirtle, and 27,000 plus for Bulbasaur. So still very low percentages across the board for 151. It's what makes the set so, well, not entirely, but it's what helps make the set so desirable because these are really difficult to grade in a 10. Even though there are a lot of them, percentage-wise, they are on the lower side. Paradox Rift, Groudon coming in 35.1%. Altaria SIR, 30.4%. Minun Illustration Rare, 39%. Roaring Moon SIR, 34.2%. And your Plusle Illustration Rare, 35.7%. So again, interesting that these are all pretty much sub 40%. That's not good at all. We have not picked up one so far that would be considered a good copy outside of the Skeledirge. That is literally it so far. We've talked about like 25 plus cards. Paldean Fates, your Bubble Mew, 15,593 have been graded as a 10 out of 44,239, 35.2%. Your Charizard SIR, 15,695 have been graded in a 10 out of 36,849, 42.6%. Not terrible. The Gardevoir, 8,865 10s, 45.4%. Not bad. SIR is getting a little bit better as we get closer and closer to the current date. The Mew Full Art, almost 3,000 copies in a 10 out of 8,500, 34.9%, still pretty low. Your Iono SIR, 3,462 in a 10, 46%. And your Pikachu Baby Shiny comes in at a measly 20.9% gem rate. But take a look at how much has been graded. The Bubble Mew, 44,000 copies. That's significantly less than your Charizard, like less than half. So Paldean Fates, pretty popular. Not as many of those out there, for sure, at least in the grading sense of it. Temporal Forces, Ghastly, number one right now, 35.7%. Not the number one percentage, but just, you know, the amount total that's been graded. 5,000 plus PSA 10s, 35.7. Your Gengar Full Art, surprisingly, over 10,000 have been graded, 43.9%. Not terrible, but still not really great, honestly, compared to everything else that we know. Raging Bolt, 43.4%. Iron Crown, 48.7%. Those are both SIRs. Your Morty's Conviction, SIR, 41.8%. Walking Wake, SIR, 47.3%. And Gouging Fire, SIR, 46.3%. Getting better, but not there yet. Still not really in that range. And those IRs from Temporal Forces, not very good. Eevee, Illustration Rare from Twilight Masquerade, 42.3%. 27,000 have been graded. Not as many as the Greninja, or more than the Greninja, which is shocking. Your Greninja SIR, 45.6%. 9,185 tens out of 20,129. It's, again, getting better. Chansey Illustration Rare comes in at 46%. Your Perrin comes in at 49.4%. That's an SIR. And Carmine, 50%. Finally, something that's like nearing 50% or greater. You do like to see it. Shrouded Fable, the Persian Illustration Rare, 35.9%. Houndoom, 37.9%. Another IR. Duskull, another IR, 37.9%. Cassiopeia, 32.1%. That's an SIR. And your SIR Pheasantipity, 39.7%. So actually getting worse, probably because this was a rushed set by all accounts. Stellar Crown, Squirtle, 39.1%. 34,413 have been graded. Only 13,441 have been a 10. That's it. Very low percentage there. Bulbasaur, 12,304 in a 10 out of 31,260. That's 39.4%. And surprisingly, the SIRs are doing slightly better. Terapagos, SIR, 12,000 plus graded, 42% on the nose. Dash Bun, 38.5%. And then your Hydrapple, 40.8%. Not nearly as many have been graded. Not at all compared to the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur. Like literally, like a third. Kind of crazy, like each. A third compared to the Squirtle or the Bulbasaur. Surging Sparks. Part of the reason I'm so bullish on Surging Sparks are these gem rates. And why, number one, it's incredibly difficult to pull a card from Surging Sparks. And even if you do, it's in crap condition. So the top copies of the card are going to be worth a lot of money one day. I'm just going to tell you. Right now, Pikachu, Booty Chew, Twerk Chew, Backshot Pikachu, pick a name, whatever. 8,329 10s out of 24,960. That's a lot. That's significantly more than some of the other sets, but it's still, guys, it's still less than the Squirtle or the Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. Did you know that? Probably not. 33.4% for the Pikachu. Latios, 24,000 plus have been graded, only 7,075 10s, 29.3%. Your Pikachu Hyper Rare, 7,995 10s, 41.4%. Latias SIR, 33.9%, very low. Cerulege Illustration Rare, 34.6%. Melodic, 37%. That's a special illustration rare. And another SIR, the Hydreigon, 37.5%. Absolutely pitiful, measly, below Twilight Masquerade, below Temporal Forces, and actually less than Paldean Fates. You're really right in line with Paradox Rift, which is shocking. Moving on. Prismatic Evolutions, there's a lot of cards. I'm going to touch on them really quickly. Umbreon, 30.5%. 15,000 have been graded. 15,646. Only 4,778 gem mint 10s for the Umbreon. Sunbreon, SIR. Sylveon, 29.1%. Leafeon, 34.6%. Espeon, 28.1%. Glaceon, 33%. On the nose. Vaporeon, 24.9%. Flareon, 31.2%. Roaring Moon, 33.2%. Jolteon, 29.2%. Eevee, 27.8%. And the Cerulege comes in at number one at 40%. Pretty crazy stuff, but look at the number that have been graded for Prismatic Evolutions. This is the biggest anomaly, I think, considering that there's so many packs of Prismatic Evolutions out there. 15,646. This is the number of the total cards graded for the Umbreon. And this is the time that we bring up time. How much time has passed? Prismatic has been out for 14 months, roughly, at this point in time. That is it. In that time, you've had 15,000. We're going to do the math. 15,646 divided by 14, okay? Let's just do stuff. You can see how my brain's wired here, where I just have to do everything in Excel. That's about 1,117 graded per month. Let's go to 151 real quick, and we are going to see, hey, what does the number for the Charizard look like? Now, this has been out roughly since what, mid 2023? Let me look super quick. Okay, so this has been out since mid-September of 2023. That puts you at roughly, we're going to call it 30 months. So in 30 months, how many cards per month have been graded for the Charizard? 3,088. Almost triple the amount has been graded through PSA for the 151 Charizard versus your Umbreon, Sunbreon SIR. That is significant. Way, way more than you probably expected, but it actually gets crazier. Let's continue. Journey Together. Believe it or not, the Articuno illustration rare is the #1 card graded. Only 7,379 tens at 31.5%. That's pretty incredible. Your stamped promo and Reshiram, the box topper from the booster box, 34.7%, excuse me. Wailord, your #3 card, an illustration rare, 34.6%, 17,500 of these graded for some reason. Moby Dick vibes, maybe? I don't know. Very odd that there's been this many cards graded for Wailord compared to the SIRs. Your illustration rare ends Reshiram, the regular one, 29.9%. Then you get into your SIRs. Lily's Clefairy, only 14,844 have been graded. That is it. But very kind of similar to your Umbreon SIR. So for what it's worth, maybe people just aren't grading this card as much as you think, but still, very interesting. Oop, that's Destined Rivals. Lily's Clefairy, 30.1%. Salamence SIR, 32.6%. And Zoroark, 33.7%. Your Iono's Belly Bolt, that's very blurry, 30.7%. And Hops Zacian, 32.3%. Very low until we hit Destined Rivals. Your Psyduck illustration rare, 6,533 tens out of 19,764. It's the most graded card through PSA and Destined Rivals, 33.1%. However, starting with Destined Rivals, things change. Your Mewtwo, 10,246 tens out of 18,106, 56.6% PSA 10. Very good, very solid. Illustration rare Ethan's Typhlosion, 26.4%. That's it. SIR, Cynthia's Garchomp, 59.9% gem rate. Almost 12,000 cards graded, 7,000 plus gems. Team Rocket's Mewtwo Gold, the Hyper Rare, 64.3%. Ethan's Ho-Oh, 58.8% SIR. Your SIR Moltres without the stamp, 57.2%. Nidoking SIR, 58.9%. Team Rocket's Crobat, 61.8%. Massive, massive jump in the gem rate for sure. But take a look at the numbers again. 18,000 have been graded. Team Rocket's Mewtwo, 18,000 compared to your 15,500 for the Sunbreon. Destined Rivals came out 4 months after Prismatic Evolutions. We've gotten hit reprint after reprint after reprint, ETBs, booster bundles, poster collections, tech sticker collections, booster bundles. Yet more have been graded of the Mewtwo, worth 1/4 the cost. Interesting, right? And way easier to grade. Very interesting, right? Something to consider. Black Bolt and White Flare, your Red 40 Victini, yes, that's the name of it, 50.5%. Black and White Zekrom, 51.6%. SIR Zekrom, 62.7%. Your illustration rares, 17.3% for the Seismitoad, 39.9% for the Haxorus, and your Kyurem at 64.8%. That is an SIR. Your IRs from Black Bolt and White Flare are stupid, crazy, bad to grade. Horrible chances across the board. all illustration rares, very expensive in 10s because there's like none out there. Not only is it super difficult to pull cards from the sets, both of them, it's very hard to grade them. But again, pay attention. Only 8,190 of the Zekrom, 7,565 of the Reshiram in your red cards. Not even, well, I guess there's 4,182 of the Black Bolt one and 3,869 of the White Flare one. No one's grading these cards because there's not that many out there, because there's not as much Black Bolt and White Flare as there is Destined Rivals. It's just that simple. It's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Your White Flare stuff, Red 40 Victini, 50.8%. Reshiram, Black and White Rare, 59.9%. SIR Reshiram, 54.4%. Hydreigon, SIR, 52.6%. Hilda SIR, which is interesting, 45.1%. And your Oshawott, Illustration Rare, 17.5%. Absolutely plummets. They take care of the SIRs and the Black and White Rare cards, but the Illustration Rares from both sets, absolutely poor, terrible quality control. The Mega Era, not doing you much more favors for the gold cards. The Lucario, 39.1%. Only 6,000 of those graded so far. 27.1% for the gold Gardevoir. 4,900 of those graded. However, 64.1% is your gem rate for your Gardevoir. 9,850 have been graded so far. Very high percentage, and a lot of them have been graded. A lot more than you think. Once again, about 15,500 for the Sunbreon has been graded. Mega came out 6 months after. Lucario, 65.4%. 10,600 have been graded. Mega Venusaur, 64.8%. 7,779 have been graded. Your Latias, 66.9%. 8,200 have been graded. Bulbasaur Illustration Rare, the regular one, 58.4%. 10,500 of those have been graded. Your Bulbasaur Stamped promo from the box topper, 8.9% gem rate. Terrible quality control for this. Incredibly hard to grade. Very expensive PSA 10. 12,426 have been graded. Only 1,104 have made it into a 10. Again, 8.9%. Should tell you, though, how many booster boxes got ripped open to grade 12,426 of them. It should tell you a lot of information, guys. A lot of information in just like 7 months, 8 months almost, pushing this point. Marshadow coming in, 13,000 of this graded. The number one card graded from Mega Evolution base, 60.7%. There's a Pikachu in here too, if you guys didn't see. It's hard. It's easy to miss, honestly. I didn't see it right away. Phantasmal Flames. Right now, the Mega Charizard X SIR, 11,329 in a 10, 18,107 have been graded so far, 62.6% gem rate. Very high gem rate, very easy card to grade relative. 18,000 have been sold so far, or graded so far, excuse me. I want to say that again. 18,107 have been graded just with PSA in the last 5 months. That's it. 5 months, actually realistically, 4.5 months almost. 15,500 for the Sunbreon in way longer of a time period. Like 9 more months. There's been more Mega Charizard X's graded. How many of these are on the market? How many of these are actually out there? How much product has been ripped for Mega Charizard X in Phantasmal Flames? I don't know. I want to figure it out. Gold card, 13.7%. Absolutely abysmal gem rate. Only 897 gem mint 10s out of 6,546. Dawn comes in at 50.5%. That's an SIR. Full Art Charizard, 53.7. Mega Sharpedo, 60.4%. And your Meowth illustration rare, actually, 46.7%. Another illustration rare that is actually not doing too well. Be curious to know what happens with the Piplup and some of the other ones, but not a lot of people are grading that one. We will wait for more data for Phantasmal Flames. We're going to touch on Ascended Heroes very quickly. Very, 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 very small sample size. Very, 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 very small. Can't emphasize that enough. Your Mega Gengar, Mega Attack Rare, 39 Gem Mint 10s out of 55. That's a 70.9%. Your Mega Dragonite, Mega Attack Rare, 81.8% gem rate. Very, very, very high stuff. Psyduck Illustration Rare, 26 Gem Mint 10s out of 38, puts you at 68.4%. Your Pikachu, this is the Forest Chew, 75% gem rate. Only 24 have been graded and received back from PSA so far. Mega Gengar SIR, 87.5% gem rate. Very small sample size. Take it with a grain of salt. 87.5% is a very, very high mark. Of course, the people that go and grade stuff this early are very good at grading. The numbers are always inflated on release. However, these are encouraging signs. Your gold cards, Mega Dragonite, only 3 of the 18 have come back a 10 so far, 16.7%. And your Mega Charizard Y, only 5 of the 19 came back at 26.3% for a gem rate. Gold cards continue to be very hard to grade. They are sub 30% across the board. Your Charizard X, 13.7. Well, actually, your Lucario is at 31.9, so sub 32% technically. But still, your Mega Base gold cards, a lot easier to grade so far than the 2 Charizards and the Dragonite, for what it's worth. But what does this mean? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a second. For context, I want to give you guys a little bit of information. So this is Crown Zenith, okay? The Crown Zenith, very popular set. I want you guys to look at the gem rates for some of these cards. Your Full Art Pikachu base, 53,000 of these have been graded so far in a significant amount of time. Like we're running back almost to like 2022 at this point, 54% of a gem rate. Your Arceus V-Star, this is at 58%. That's the gold card. Giratina is at 55%. Your Mewtwo V-Star, Glaring Gallery, that's at 58%. But you guys can see the Entei, 63%. Raikou, 57%. Your Glaceon, 57%. Leafeon, 58%. Deoxys VMAX, the base, 78%. Very, very high our gem rates. Take a look. This is going to be Silver Tempest. Your Lugia V Alt Art, 56%. Rayquaza VMAX Alt Art, or Trainer Gallery, excuse me, 75%. That's the VMAX base, 75%. The VMAX base Trainer Gallery number 29, 77%. 74%. Regidrago, 69%. Lugia V-Star, 67%. Keep going. Sword and Shield. This is Brilliant Stars. Full Art Charizard V Alt Art, 51%. Charizard V-Star Secret Rare, 54%. Umbreon VMAX, 72%. Umbreon V, 52%. Sylveon VMAX, 73%. These are all above 50%. 2021 Evolving Skies here. Full Art Umbreon VMAX. This is the Moonbreon, 70% gem rate all time. Rayquaza VMAX, second most powerful card in the set, 69%. Dragonite V, 52%, one of the worst. Sylveon VMAX, 73%. Your Umbreon V base, 45%, pretty low, honestly. Rayquaza V, 52. Leafeon, 72. Glaceon, 72. Espeon, 51, etc., etc. Sword and Shield cards graded very, very well. There's a purpose of that. We have not seen gem rates like this, right? Like what we're seeing from Ascended, from Phantasmal, from Mega, from Black Bolt, White Flare, and Destined Rivals since Sword and Shield. The majority of Scarlet and Violet, very difficult to grade. But what about those cards graded? Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So what comes next, and what does the time factor really mean here? Well, in the future, we are going to revisit this. We are going to see exactly what the pack destruction theory is about and how to go about tracking it in like kind of more deeper sense. But I wanted to call attention to these numbers because I think they are relatively important. The more time that passes, the more that we enter these, hype cycle, bull market, whatever you want to call it. And, we've been here for quite a while. This is like no secret to, most people that are currently involved in the hobby, whatever. The big kind of point here is there's more product of the newer sets than I think you guys realize. And a lot of it is being ripped, way more than you guys probably can imagine. Rip and Chips are doing crazy stuff right now. It's this insane variable that you just don't know how many are going on at one time, how frequent they're going, all of that stuff, how much is being ripped, just the works, right? Literally everything. It's crazy to see. So the time factor. I think it's really important to look at Prismatic Evolutions. I think that's going to be like the focal point in the case study in this whole entire argument. We are going to see more and more packs of Prismatic ripped, of course, throughout the rest of 2026. It is still a very big staple of sets and rip and chips, all of that stuff. And I think there's not going to be a lot added to the grading market. And again, I want to call back to not everyone grades cards. There's multiple grading services. All of that stuff, I get it. We were just looking at kind of like an even playing field here. The fact that there's more, so much more, 151 Charizards ripped, graded, all of that stuff, I shouldn't say ripped, but graded with PSA 3 times as much in way more long of a time, but still the rate at which those are being graded should tell you guys everything that you need to know. That Phantasmal Flames Charizard is also going to do some pretty crazy stuff. It has only been 4.5 months really since its release, and there's already this many, and just below the Sunbreon. Now, the Sunbreon is a lot more difficult to hit. Of course, Phantasmal Flames is a way smaller set. I get that. I understand that. But the fact that there's been this many printed from a set that is just this young compared to a set that's still pretty young, 14 months old, is just staggering to me. It should tell you guys at least something. Open your eyes to how much stuff is actually out there. I'm not calling for like this whole sale change and like price corrections and stuff like that. But again, it's just really interesting to see what this is going to do on a per pack destruction basis and what we can do with that. So definitely let me know your thoughts down below. I'm curious to know what you guys think of this type of information. As I said, it's been a long time since we talked about something like this, and it's really important to kind of see how things compare to other parts of the hobby in different eras, different sets, different times, all that stuff. So let me know down below what you guys think. Like the video, engage with the video just in general. It helps so much. Hit that subscribe button if you guys would. It's always much appreciated for all of this hard work that I do for you guys and give it to you for free. So it's a little thing there. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.